This is going to be a news edition. I'm going to go through the forums, tell you what people are talking about. This guy claims end of game RNG mechanics. He says he analyzes games, he automatically analyzes things, and he believes that the losing team gets worse RNG at the end of the game, and he thinks that Wargaming is doing it on purpose. He did not provide any evidence. He didn't even explain his observation. He just said he believes it. You understand what I mean? RNG it's a variance. You know, zero. If you do 100 damage, they add 25% or deduct 25%, which means that if your gun does 100 damage, you're going to do between 75 and 125. They make a random number. They add it or subtract it to the 100. That's what the RNG is. It works for penetration, for damage, and it works for other things. It's not something where it helps one team have an advantage over the other. This guy's talking about re-rolling a mission. And he says third daily is damage 7 in a match for a demount kit. Thought that was really interesting because I had the same thing, and I re-rolled mine, and I thought that was weird. I wonder if there's any chance that people are getting the same missions, because the demount kit is worth 10 gold. It's not a high value item. This is new ranked season, new tanks, updated bond shop. Features such great options as, he's only theorizing, says Senlak WZ-111 T-103, which I believe is the Russian tank destroyer, which I have. It's actually pretty good. The IS-2S. A lot of people, a lot of the popular streamers like Skill for LTU, etc., they did not like the T-103. They said, they were advising against it, but it actually, I think it's a good tank. And then he mentions 114 SP2 and the Charlemagne. Unfortunately, he titles it New Tanks Updated Bond Shop, but I don't know if any of this is true. It says details just dropped. So I guess maybe it is true. There you have it. This guy's talking about Ace Mastery badges might be broken. Guess what vehicle it is? It is the T-18, which when I was first starting out was the most broken vehicle in this game. This is like a tier 2 or tier 3 tank destroyer where people were getting 15 kills. And it's because it had strong armor and it was fast and it had a good gun. And I was always being killed by these in the game. People were padding their stats. They took it out of the game and turned it into an SPG, and he's complaining about it. But it ends up, his scores are really bad. I mean, he's not even number 1 for the team, and he's complaining he got class 2. Field modifications. I'm starting to like them. I said bad things about field modifications. Starting to like them a little bit. I do think that they're costly. I don't think it's impossible. The question is, can you use combat experience for field modifications? If the answer is yes, then they're actually not so bad, because you just turn off the accelerated crew training and you get a better value out of the field modifications, especially with light tanks or light tank destroyers that you want to do spotting, or if you're on a small map. Because if you're on a small map, let's say you play an SPG, you might want to put binocs on it. So I'm not playing light tanks right now, but I'm starting to do it with the ammo a little bit. I've only done it for maybe 3 or 4 tanks, and only first couple levels. Only one of them switches equipment. We'll do a better report on it once I understand it better. After most recent update, game freezes intermittently. What's happening is the game is stuttering. They're claiming that it's AMD CPUs with the commander view or some bird's eye view or something. I disabled them like they recommended. I'm still getting the intermittent freezing. The stuttering is a buffering problem or something like that. It's got to be something like that. That's consistent with buffering, or I don't know, buffering. Maybe there's something else. Trying to figure it out. This guy is asking, what's the difference between SD and HD clients? People are saying that if you get the HD client, you'll get better rendering of trees. They say that the trees are more noticeable. Obviously, everything is, but they say that the SD quality trees are much lower quality. This is photorealistic games very soon. You know what? Photorealistic is is not going to make you happy because what they're going to sacrifice gameplay in order to render these beautiful games. So you remember there was a game, Dragon's Lair. Show you what it. I would love to show you what it is, but I can't. The game was very beautiful, but it sacrificed gameplay. This is what the game looked like in the arcade, but you very limited gameplay. It's and don't be too excited. It's going to take a long time before you get good gameplay with photorealistic. You're going to want to give it up. We want tier 8 only for frontline. I agree. I predicted that tier 9 would not be good. I don't like being forced to go into tier 9. I have so many tier 8 tanks. I want to play my tier 8 tanks, and I don't like the fact that I've got a limited selection of tier 9 tanks, and I'm playing them only because I have to, and they're not tanks that I necessarily want to play. It's you got to play to be competitive. I don't know. Aiming reticle. So they're talking about skill for LTU and Quickie Baby. Just so you know, LTU means Lithuania. About using a fine-tuned aiming reticle. I don't know if they're using a mod. I'm going to tell you what I do. I use the little green dot. Some of them have a triangle, but why do you want a triangle for? Are you blind? I mean, maybe if you're blind, visually impaired, my eyesight is not that good. I prefer the little green dot. I've seen other players use the little green dot. It's just aim right there. The little green dot. My recommendation. People are saying that XVM has some sort of a feature that disables the anonymizer. And someone has suggested that there is I don't know how to pronounce it. Aslane, where they have a feature to automatically disable the anonymizer. So that's just something that people are mentioning. Excluding maps, not always excluding. It only works for standard battles. It doesn't work for encounter. It doesn't work for assault defend. You're going to see people say, I hate encounter mode. It's an awful mode. And you're going to say, why? These are stat patterns. And the reason why is because you do less damage in encounter because too many people try to cap early. That's why they don't like it. They want to do high damage games to pad their stats. Games that end in 5 minutes. This is because people complained about artillery. So what happened was they made all the maps into corridors. They made it so that you can't jump off the side. Like on Mines, you can't go over the side. And on Abbey, on the east side, it's all rock now. You used to be able to climb many places and jump off many places. So they made all the maps into arty-friendly corridors, and then they made the matchmaker where if there's 3 heavy tanks on one side, there's 3 heavy tanks on the other side. Those are the 2 things that ruin the game. Now everybody at the start of the game, they go straight to the midpoint for the heavy tanks or the medium tanks. Before they couldn't do that. Before they had to take their time because arty might hit them. Or they had to analyze and say, well, if there's 10 heavy tanks and we got 10 tank destroyers, are the heavy tanks going to go out in the field because they think that they're all going to beat up on us? You understand what I mean? Better example, 10 heavies versus 10 mediums. The heavies won't go to town. They'll all go field. So before, you had to put a little bit more thought into the game. It was complaining about arty that made the game, it just ruined gameplay. Is camping for the northern team on Malinovka a valid strategy? Read what the guy said. I'm going to say no. It doesn't work if the enemy team flanks you. If the enemy team knows what they're doing, they're going to win. Yeah, so I'm not going to say it's a valid strategy. It can be defeated. In fact, it could be a disaster. It could be a complete disaster if the enemy knows how to scout you out. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.